My dear brothers and sisters, today we celebrate another important feast of two saints, that is Timothy and Titus, the missionary disciples of St. Paul. They were bishops appointed by Paul himself. And we see St. Paul constantly encouraging the communities that he built and also the leaders he appointed, especially Saints Timothy and Titus, where St. Paul wrote the pastoral epistles, encouraging them and advising them how to be a leader to lead the people. And in the gospel today we see Jesus appoints another 72 disciples and he is sending them two by two. We all, through the baptism, are sent into the society, into the world as missionary disciples to proclaim the good news and also to live a life of witness, not simply through our words, but through our life, through our actions, to say or to tell who Christ is. To be a missionary disciples, my dear brothers and sisters, we need to begin from our home, from our families. Missionary families we need to build, as Pope Francis says. In today's first reading, the second letter of St. Paul to Timothy, and he is so happy about the life of Timothy. Look at, he is also praising about his family. He's talking about the grandmother of Timothy, who had a great faith in the Lord, and also the mother of St. Timothy, who also had that great faith. Now, St. Paul is praising the son, that is Timothy. That means the entire family had been nourishing themselves, sharing the real faith, and living the faith. We, all of us, have that duty to transmit the faith that we have received. As St. Paul says, the faith that dwelt in the life of the grandmother was transmitted to her daughter. And she transmitted the same faith to her son Timothy. Therefore, we, all of us, have this responsibility in the society to share the faith, first of all, among our family members, helping one another to grow in faith. Why Jesus sent two by two to preach the good news? The disciples, they had different attitudes, different characters. They all were not from the same environment. They were different from one another, but still Jesus sends them two by two so that they can stand with one another, stand for one another, help one another, support one another, and we can learn from one another. It is the community life. Christianity is nothing but communion of the followers of Christ. Therefore, we as a community should be able to preach the good news. We need to stand with one another. We need to stand for one another, help one another. Unfortunately, sometimes it is difficult. We don't want to work with others. We want to be all alone, some kind of selfish attitude. Not all, some have. They don't want to be in a community life. A single Christian cannot call himself a Christian. We need to be in communion with one another so that our life will be a real gospel to the people who see us. Therefore, this feast, how Saints Timothy and Titus lived a life inspiring the people in the community, leading them, encouraging them, and to live for Christ. Let us also, through our own way of life, in our own attitudes, let us encourage others to live in this faith and grow in this faith.